mother-in-law kept criticizing my parenting and calling my kids spoiled, so I started pointing out everything wrong with her son. My mother-in-law has made it crystal clear that I'm not welcome in her family, and it took me way too long to accept it. It started with small things that I initially brushed off. When I speak my native language to my son, she yells, "English only," like we're in some kind of nationalist fever dream. When we visit and ask if she has a toddler mattress for our son since the pack and play will now be for our daughter, she gives us dirty looks and sounds annoyed that we're asking for basic accommodations for her own grandchildren. At restaurants, she orders appetizers for everyone at the table and then gives me death stares when I order an additional appetizer for myself and some hummus for my baby girl. Apparently, I'm supposed to just accept whatever she decides we're all eating without having any input or preferences of my own. She yelled at my 3-year-old son for playing with water drops on her dining table. He was having a blast laughing with his uncle, just being a normal kid, and she took the cup away, leaving him sad and confused over water drops on a table. After meals, she complains to my husband that I don't clean up enough because I'm busy breastfeeding our daughter and changing diapers. Sorry for prioritizing my infant's basic needs over your dishes, but that's how babies work. Last summer when I was 7 months pregnant, working full-time and caring for our son, she told my husband I wasn't taking care of him properly. My husband responded that he can take care of himself and should be taking care of me instead. She rolled her eyes at this response. When I was pregnant and staying on their couch during visits, she refused to turn down the thermostat from 78 degrees. I was sweaty and couldn't sleep, but her comfort was more important than mine even though I was carrying her grandchild. The food control got progressively worse with each visit. During another stay, she wanted to order pastrami sandwiches for takeout. My husband asked if I could have soup instead since I was pregnant, but we hadn't announced it yet, so I couldn't have deli meat. She rolled her eyes and gave him a dirty look for daring to modify her food choices. Months later, when we explained why I needed soup instead of pastrami, she yelled, "Well, if you had just told me that, why should I have to disclose my pregnancy to justify a simple food request?" Another time she ordered Chinese takeout, and I forgot to write my order down. I asked if we could call and add orange chicken to the order, which my father-in-law did without any issue. Later, while cleaning, she said, "It was too much food. We shouldn't have ordered the orange chicken." I was being shamed for wanting to eat dinner. Every single visit became a minefield of criticism and control. She monitored what I ate, how I cleaned, how I parented, what language I spoke to my own children. Nothing I did was acceptable in her eyes. I could never meet her standards no matter how hard I tried. During one particularly awful visit, she made comments about my son's behavior and how I was spoiling him by responding to his needs. When he had a normal toddler meltdown, she looked at me with disgust and said, "This is what happens when you don't discipline them properly." He was 2 years old. She also had opinions about my daughter's feeding schedule and would make snide comments when I needed to breastfeed. "She's hungry again?" she'd say with annoyance, as if babies don't eat frequently. When I explained that breastfed babies need to eat more often than bottle-fed babies, she dismissed me with, "Well, I bottle-fed and my kids were fine." She acted like I was being dramatic about basic infant care. The criticism extended to everything I did as a mother. She questioned my choice to baby wear, saying it would spoil my daughter. She made comments about my son's clothes if they had any stains, as if toddlers don't get messy. She'd hover over me while I changed diapers, making suggestions about how I should be doing it differently. Even my husband started noticing how differently she treated me compared to other family members. When his sister would visit with her kids, there were no comments about food choices or cleaning habits, but everything I did was scrutinized and criticized. The breaking point came during our last visit. I was breastfeeding our daughter when she announced we were all going out to dinner. I asked if we could wait 30 minutes so I could finish feeding the baby and put her down for a nap. She looked at me with pure disgust and said, "Why does everything have to revolve around her schedule?" pointing at my infant daughter. I realized she wasn't just difficult or particular. She actively resented my children's basic needs and my existence in her son's life. Every complaint, every eye roll, every criticism was designed to make me feel unwelcome and inadequate in her home. We stopped visiting after that incident. Now she wonders why we don't come around anymore and blames me for influencing her son and keeping her grandchildren from her. She's turned herself into the victim instead of looking at her own behavior and how she treats us when we're there. The woman created a hostile environment for her own grandchildren and then acts shocked when we don't want to subject ourselves to it anymore.